Alright, so we are going to continue our notes for factoring out common constant. This was example 5. Again, these are the notes from 5.3 to 5.5. Alright, so the first thing you want to do anytime you're doing any kind of factoring is you want to try to factor out any common factor that you can. So you look at the numbers 6, 27, and 15 and you say, okay, well, what can I factor out of this? And then you look to see if they have a variable in them, right? But the 6, the 27, and 15, they're all divisible by 3, so we want to factor that 3 out. So what we do is we write the 3 out front, and then we divide them each by 3, and then that is going to go in the parentheses. So we're going to do 6 divided by 3, which gives us 2x squared. And then we do the 27 divided by 3, which gives us 9x. And then 15 divided by 3 gives us 5. All right? So we factored out that common factor first. All right? Now we want to see if we can take what's inside the parentheses, if we can factor that out any further. All right? So again, we have a leading coefficient. So whenever we have that leading coefficient, what we want to do is we want to do our box. So we do our box. In the top of the box, we're putting 2x. All right? And then we got to multiply. 2 times 5 gives us 10. So we want the factors of 10. That when we subtract them, we get a 9. All right? Factors of 10, when we subtract them, we get a 9, are 10 and 1. So we go ahead and we put the 10 and the 1 in there. All right? And the signs are different. And the bigger sign has to go with it's going to be the plus sign. So 10 is going to get the plus, and 1 is getting the minus. So now we're going to, can we factor anything out of that? And the answer is yes. We can factor 2. So we divide that by 2, it goes away. Divide that by 2, and we get a 5. So we're going to keep our 3. That's out front here. Just bring it down. And then we're going to do one set of parentheses, and we're going to put in an x plus 5. And then we're going to do another set of parentheses, and we can't factor anything out of that, so we're going to keep it as 2x minus 1, and that is completely factored out. So again, the new step here was actually trying to factor out that common factor first. All right, so we look at the next one. Again, we got an 8, a 28, and a 120, and it looks like they're all going to be divisible by 4. So again, we're going to factor that 4 out. All right, so we divide them all by 4. And then we're going to write what we're left with in the parentheses after we divide them by 4. So dividing that by 4 gives us 2x squared. Dividing that by 4 gives us 7x. Dividing that by 4 gives us 30. All right, so we factored out that. Now we want to see, again, if we can factor this out any further. So factoring that out further, we want to, again, we got a leading coefficient. Remember, we're going to drop that 4 down. Right? Then we got a leading coefficient, so we have to do our box. So we do our box, we put a 2x in the top of each side. Right? And then we multiply. 2 times 30 gives us 60. And we want the factors of 60 that when we subtract it, we get a 7. Let's see. Let's see, we got 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15, 5 times 12. There we go. 5 times 12. Looks like it works. All right, so we're going to use that 5 and that 12. The signs are going to be different. The bigger one, again, has to get whatever that middle sign is. In this case, it's a plus. So the plus sign is going to go here, and the minus sign there. We can't factor anything out of 2x minus 5, so we just bring it over. 2x minus 5. And then the other, 2x plus 12, we can factor 2 out, that becomes x, that becomes a 6, so we got x plus 6. All right, now what I want you to do is go ahead and do number 3. Don't do 1 and 2. on this. Just try to do number 3 because you can factor something out of that. That's just like these problems. All right, so pause the video, work on that. All right, so we are going to do that problem. All right, we can factor 2 out of all these. So again, we put the 2 out front, we divide them all by 2, and that's going to leave us with 2w squared minus 3w plus 1. All right, again, we got a leading coefficient, so we want to write this off to the side. 2x, multiply 2 times 1 is 2. We want the factors of 2, that when we add them up we get 3, and that would be 2 and 1. All right, and the signs are both the same, they're both minus. So this, we can factor 2 out, which leaves us with our x minus 1. And that, we can't factor anything out of that, so it leaves us with 2x minus 1. All right, and we bring that 2 down. All right, so that's what you should have for your answer. Right, the next thing we're going to talk about is the zeros of the function. The zeros of the function. Zeros of the function. Zeros are actually, all you're going to do for this is you're going to get rid of this, all right, and just put equals 0 at the end. So we change this y into a 0, but it's easier for us if we put it at the end. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to factor this out. All right, we have a leading coefficient. So leading coefficient, again, we have to put do our box, put our 3x in the top, multiply. 3 times 4 gives us 12. We want the factors of 12. When we subtract it, we get a 1, and that would be 4 and 3. So 4 and 3. And we want the signs are going to be different, right? They have signs and minus signs, so signs are going to be different. The bigger one has to be negative, so the 4 gets the negative sign, the 3 gets the plus sign. So again, we go over here, 3x plus 4, we can't factor anything out of it, so we leave it as 3x minus 4. All right, and then our 3x plus 3, we can factor 3 out, so that becomes a 1, that becomes a 1, so it leaves us with x plus 1 equals 0. All right, now, just like before, when we had this, what we're going to do is now we're going to take each of these, set them equal to 0, and solve. All right, so we take our 3x minus 4, set that equal to 0, and then x plus 1, set that equal to 0. We solve it, so add 4. We get 3x equals 4, and we divide by 3, so we get x equals 4 thirds. And this one we subtract 1, we get x equals negative 1, so we get 2 answers there. X equals 4 thirds, and x equals negative 1. All right, we show you that again with another example. Again, first thing we do, it gives us this equation. What we're going to do is find the zeros, so we want to know what the answers are when y is 0. So the best thing to do is just cancel this side out, and then just set it equal to 0 on the other side. All right, we can't factor anything out of this. Again, that's the first thing we should look, see if we can make it easier by factoring something out. So we can't factor anything out, so what we're going to do is we have a leading coefficient, so we do our box, put 4x in the top, right? And then we multiply. 4 times 15 gives us 60, and we want the factors of 60 that when we subtract it, we get a 17, and it looks like 3 times 20 will do that. All right, 3 times 20 gives us 16, and 20 minus 3 will give us a 17. All right, so we want the 3 and the 20. Signs are different, right? Because last sign's a minus sign, and we want the bigger number to get the negative. So the 20 has to get the negative, the 3 gets the positive. So we can't factor anything out of 4x plus 3, so we leave it, 4x plus 3. 4x minus 20, we can factor 4 out. That becomes an x, and that becomes a 5. So it leaves us with x minus 5 equals 0. And then we just set these equal to 0. So 4x plus 3 equals 0. We subtract 3. So it gives us 4x equals negative 3. We divide by 4, and we get x equals negative 3/4. And then we got x minus 5 equals 0. We add 5, and we get x equals 5. All right, so that's finding the zeros of the function. So go ahead and pause the video, and then just do number 1 and number 2. All right, number 1, again, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that, set it equal to 0. We cannot factor anything out of it. So now we got leading coefficient, so choose our box thing. We're going to put a 3x in the top of each side. And we multiply first times last, gives us a 3. We want the factors of 3, which we only have 1 and 3.